Hello everyone, today we're going to be doing a reading on the UK, check-in with Keir Starmer, check-in with Rachel Reeves. So if you don't catch my global psychic predictions, I do advise you to check that out because I do predictions for the UK in that reading. So in this one, if I bring up any predictions for the UK, they're probably going to be different to the global psychic predictions, so I'm not repeating myself. Now, I do know that obviously the budget's been delivered recently. The minimum wage is going up in April. Higher tax is coming in. I think there was something around the budget for the NHS on the day-to-day basis is increasing. That to me was very vague. So any of you that follow politics, you can let me know, did they mention? I think to know it's only day-to-day is just too vague. Is that for hiring certain roles? Is it going towards cleaners? Is it going towards nurses? Is it going towards the cleaning products? That kind of stuff. Or just across the NHS, it's just a bit too vague. I know that Rachel Reeves, I don't know if she's a new chancellor. I don't know if she's spoken before in the House of the MPs and where they go, but I had seen her name going around, obviously either news bulletins or whatever comes on my YouTube, but I don't watch it. But what I decided to do was to tap in Rachel Reeves, and I looked at two 1 minute and a half, 1 minute and 40-second clips. One is she's on this morning, I think it's this morning, it's the morning show, and I believe she's talking about tax for the farmers. Now, if you caught my first read on Keir Starmer, my global psychic predictions months and months ago, I said that he will be leaning towards a tech kind of way forward. Farmers are going to take the hit. He's not going to invest in that. There's going to be a hit on farmers. There might be a bit of outcry on that. It's going to be a shame because I mean, it means our whole countryside goes, doesn't it? It's not the same. And he would be looking at making things on the basis of more eco-friendly tech, electrical. I also said that they will be trying to push the UK, the electrical car sales, and I don't think if they are, anyone's really buying them as much as they probably hoped it would continue to grow. But anyway, we see now what I mentioned in the past. So what I'm trying to say is my readings, if you're new to the channel or haven't seen it or need a refresher, go to my readings, because I'm not one of those readers that does 10-minute videos, about 5 videos every day with 1 or 2 questions and a repeat. So I'm not going to be like today doing 5 short videos. How is this feeling? How did this come out? How did that? So in general, the energy continues. It's a prediction for forward as well. I still get, and the second video for Rachel Reeves was where she's saying about the 40 billion budget increase. She's standing in the House of Commons, and she's delivering that. And what I found interesting was not actually her. On the other side, where the Tories are, you know, where they come back and they say stuff, and then Labour will say stuff while she's trying to talk. Rishi Sunak, have any of you seen that clip? If not, I can link it. He's just got his head down. He raises it a little bit, but he's not shouting across. He's not, it's like he's got his head down. He's like kind of embarrassed, maybe that he's out, or he's just like, I'm so over this crap on both sides. Like, I feel like he knows more. It's really interesting. It's a 1 minute clip. So I don't know if any of you noticed that. I looked at those two because obviously I don't follow politics, and I wanted to look at Rachel Reeves' energy, given that her name has come to me and she's delivered the budget. Now, Again, I want to emphasize I don't follow the politics, so some of you might fill in gaps for me, but I do the psychic and the energy tapping. As soon as I clicked on the video where she's on that morning show and she decides to talk about the taxes and the farmers, it was a 1.5 minutes, so it was difficult to pick up what she's talking about, but I felt it was the farmers and taxes. As soon as she came on the screen, I was like, shackled. This woman is shackled, which was really, really interesting. So there's something about her where she's chained, she's shackled either to an energy behind her, but she is, yeah, the word shackled is very strong in her energy. So she is not at free will. She's probably shackled in a way where she can't move even a little bit in terms of what she wants to say and do. And I don't feel it's Keir. I feel again it's who's behind Keir, who's behind everything. It's kind of like a shadow that's there lingering over them. And then obviously as she starts to talk, boy was she kept stuttering. She couldn't really talk. When she was at the House of Commons, she was talking, she was fine. In this instance, she was really not able to talk. And I think, to me, that would state she probably doesn't align with the message she's saying. I think what point is being missed here, maybe they know it within themselves, but that's why she's nervous. Farmers is not about making money. The farmers is about the landscape, the countryside, the way of living. It's not like they sit and make money for hitting them with taxes and then also making their life difficult where they can't really farm and we can't get the fresh stuff. Why? Is it because they, do they have a vision to build up international affairs of export import, as well as the tech side? And when I said about the tech side, a few months later, just recently, there was the thing about investing in electrical buses. And I mentioned, okay, so what's going to happen now? I said about the taxes in the drive. I said about possibly, I said about the bus fare increasing. That's come through. But what I want to do is, so again, missing the point of farmers really and what is being stated. But I feel like they know that, and that's why she was maybe stuttering. But let's see, how did she feel on that morning show or talking about the farmers? Now, any of you know her background? I mean, is she new into it? Is she new into actually being at the face of as a chancellor? I think they're trying to make her come off, or she's trying to come off as an economist, but is she? So anyone know the background, it would be good. I'm going to move this out the way a little bit. You know that this is from this, okay? Let's see. I'll take one more card. It's really sad to see these cards. So here we have, how was she feeling? I'm talking about the farming in particularly. She knows that it's not, I'm getting the word honourable. She knows it's not something that's going to be widely accepted where people are going to be happy about it, okay? And then we've got the farming here and we've got the death card. So it's really going to impact the farming, where we're going to see a lot of farmers needing to just leave being farmers. Like I said, the effect on the countryside. And we've got a sort of coming together and a celebration here. it seems like they felt there was a success, okay, from turning the back on the farmers, but there's something hidden here that's lurking in the background. Remember I said there's a heavier energy above them. I really hate seeing these cards here because it's not nice energy at all. And then what we get here is there is definitely, they felt in terms of the farming, it's a crossroad decision and there's a challenge there. And this is why she was stuttering. Okay. Can you see this? It's also like she's been put on that pedestal. She doesn't know what's happening around her. She feels the tension. Okay. And she's there. And it's funny enough, she's got the similar hairstyle here, right? She's there blindfolded. And it's kind of like, just sit there and do what you got to do. To me, this looks like the word I got as soon as I opened that clip before she started talking. The word Spirit brought up, she's shackled. Now here, she also holds some fear, okay? She holds some fear on the decision she's had to deliver, okay? But I'm really concerned about this card. This is not her here. There's a difference between her sitting in her power. She's not been able to. If you remember in my last, either the psychic predictions or reading, I even mentioned, you know, the strawberries from different cities and countrysides that just have a taste, as opposed to when you go to Sainsbury's and buy the strawberries that are imported, let's say from South Africa. Do you know when you're at a marketplace, and even those marketplaces, I don't know if they're in your town, but they used to be open every Sunday, Monday, and maybe Wednesday or something, 3 times a week. Now you're lucky to find it open maybe 1 time a week, and then it's a couple of hours and it's all empty. Has anyone else seen that in the past few years? It's really sad because you could get your fresh meat, you could get your fresh veg, fresh fruit. And it seems like there's definitely an end to the era when it comes to farming, especially if they don't change it. Now, with this hidden element that we can't see, as well as it being a shadowing energy over them, I wonder if this can change before the total elimination comes to a really severe, I'm seeing like drought crops, because not able to take care of them. It won't be looking like this, okay? And then obviously you have your farm animals, etc., that get affected. But there's definitely a huge turning back on the farmers. And we see 2 different choices, 2 different cups here. This is also her when she's had to deliver a speech, and there's the Tories and the Labour, okay, and she's there, right? I don't think she's privy to everything, okay? I don't think she's necessarily privy to everything, but she's definitely got not any room to move, okay? I do feel that Keir-Starmer is going through a period of trials and tribulations right now. In his role and in his personal life will be upcoming as well. I don't think I could talk much on that because isn't there a super injunction? I did ask in my last one, but no one mentioned anything, so I'm not really sure. Okay, but I do think he's going through trials and tribulations. In one of my last readings, I did pull cards on him, and there was a turning point where he could make a decision that over time can slowly get people warm up to him. Maybe that's not there anymore, but it was kind of critical in junction for him to have that change. I feel like, so I'm just saying what I feel like totally, he will be reflecting a lot on where his personal values are in question right now, and even till the end of the year, and while he's in the role, and his consistency on his personal values, I think he's going to find that he's going to be reflecting on that, which means that he's not able to operate fully out of his personal values when I think of that. I think he's going to be really focused, practical and diligent on some reform initiatives that he truly believes in. They're not necessarily what he masters, but he truly believes in, and that's going to make him in sort of very practical, focused and diligent on them. He's going to like working on them, which means probably equality and delivery. I feel like his mental capacity and mental energy that he has to focus is going to stretch, and he's going to be able to focus practically on things. And this is obviously if he makes it past into 2025. Okay. With his egos being tested, I think he needs to, not with his egos, his values. I think he needs to be careful with his ego and the inflation of ego. So, you know, it's going to be a shaky ground where he's got his values and then ego inflation sort of against each other. He could be deceived by others. I mean, if you've seen the previous readings, you'll know that. And he's going to be sort of, I feel like he's going to hide. He's hiding at the moment, and he will hide more facts on certain parties. And I think this is what maybe Rachel Reeves is privy to, and Rishi Sunak. I mean, if you've not seen that video, that 1 minute clip, he stole it for me, like just watching him. I don't think he's stupid enough, interesting. I don't think he's stupid to not realise the impact he's having or how the public are seeing him. But let's see. I think some of us have felt like we're surrendering in on something, or we will surrender in on something. But overall, we have really proved that we are waking up. You know, the truth cannot be covered, and exploding in the right direction is going to be what we've realized in the recent riots, etc., has not been happening. But that is key, as opposed to exploding in all different riots angles and not on the right person. I do think that there's going to be a bit of a psychic predictions. There's going to be a bit of a scandal, which could be on the royal fam or the Gov. But I definitely 100% on the Gov, because I've mentioned it before and I see it very clearly. But royal family could be coming up. Just to let you know, I'm recording this on the 5th of November. I plan to do after this a reading for the US elections, so that might take privy over this. I mean, in terms of posting. But we are looking further forward, okay? I'm not like, it doesn't mean it's expired. I still see that, you know, a lot of us are really worried about the people entering the country and also the NATO situation. I really feel that. We are reaching our limit on that, and we've more or less reached our limit on a lot of stuff as the UK, and it's just not to take away from the UK citizens, the elderly, the people that need the support. You know, make the poor poorer and the rich richer kind of thing, and invest in the international affairs. So I am going to look at if Duck wins, or whoever wins, because I've got my bets on Duck, on DT, just in case you don't watch the US. I have to abbreviate their names. That he is a strong, in for the win, basically. But whoever is he going to realize what's important to the people? So I will pull cards on that. Just still channeling some predictions and energy, so bear with me. There are going to be big changes, but they're not until 2025. And I think that aligns with like the minimum wage going up. So, you know, that's download. But if he's out and we need a fair election with no corruption to avoid corruption entering again, at some stage in the future, it might mean the military steps in. I think I've had this in a previous reading because I didn't know, can they step in? Can't they step in? I think what I've mentioned previously months and months ago as well is that health and sea and new things that can take over to try and control and also do a little jab will be coming up, like, and probably used when needed to overshadow some things in the background, distraction or control us. The lies we're going to try and continue to see, but I don't, like I said, I don't think we're seeing everyone who is the string masters around those lies. So directing the anger really needs to be in the right way and not against each other. There's a covert energy, there's a masking, but people are going to be joining together and realizing, you know, we're fighting against certain stuff, but we really do need our neighbor on board with us. So are we doing it in the right way, or are we just being like hooligans like some people are? Not everyone. I just see, like, do you know the Robin Hood era where they're fighting, there's a fight against the authorities? It's kind of like Robin Hood coming back. Hey up, who's in Nottingham? There could be a fire in a broadcasting large city, a broadcasting TV base, something like that in a large city. In the near future, there's going to be a bit of a void on the King's throne, all right? That doesn't mean that Prince William's going anywhere or anything like that, but there's kind of like, if you've watched my sorry, one second, what is it that if you've watched my US videos, and a lot of them have a larger message, so please don't think it's just US and it doesn't apply. It applies very much because their uproar and general collective message, not only does it impact overseas and how overseas will work, but or operate or take on tokens, but there's a larger collective message on the way we need to move forward as humanity. So check out the latest channeling and psychic predictions for November. There will be one coming up, but obviously I've got a couple of these predictions already noted, and there is more predictions and prophecy that can come through. Obviously, channeling takes energy, so if you're interested, always like and support the videos that you're interested in. That way I know where to divulge my energy. But like a void, what I was getting to, I felt a void over the last sort of, I'd say August especially onwards. Like, no one was running the US. There was no presidency running the US. Too much focus on the election. And if it wasn't the US, it would have been a real high, even though US had a high threat during this time, high threat that that country could have been, you know, had the other larger countries try to do an attack or blood money. And blood money I will get to in my further read on certain things. And also I asked about the YTs in that last read. I had to abbreviate, take the words out, and people keep putting the word back in. But I will be doing a reading on that. I mentioned in that reading, so the King's Throne, like a bit of void, whether it's kind of like someone is still there, but there's a bit of a void in terms of their role fulfillment, something like that in the future. Okay, so no panic. More strikes and protests, very heavy energy from now until especially 18th, 19th of November. And I'd say there could be a big one. And I know that the there's the tube ones in November, and that it just shows you what I mentioned. Look out until the 18th, 19th, they're really bubbling around that. And the derailment of a train as well, I've mentioned. I think there's going to be storms coming in, and those storms, I see island as well. And in the last global psychic predictions for November, which was just a screenshot of like what we need to look out for days in November, check that out. And at the end, I pull cards for each country. I'm sorry I'm going fast, but I had a comment that makes me feel like I have to go fast, and I can't when I'm channeling. I'm not pulling tarot reading for one sign to do a very short video, but I'm trying to fill in everything that is, you know, valuable to us to understand. So I mentioned Wales in that reading. You can check the last two, you know, sort of readings. Also check any of the readings. There's going to be a strange reason for something going wrong in transport as well. Or, you know, kind of like a more protest or a tube line closed. And they might be saying that it's like a muffled reason why that tube line or train line, and I feel its tube, is closed. The storms, yes, and also islands going to be affected in a way. There could be kind of like a scene of a new kind of creature from kind of eruption of storms. Okay, some sort of sighting. I think airport security and additional steps, delays, whether it's to do with the disease that they might try to bring up, or whether it's to do with, and a lot of it will be to do with the political side of stuff and high security, probably taking it a little bit out of context. I do see that there could be some sort of strikes on airport staff, or something to do with a shortage of staff and loads of queues, something go wrong. I'm also seeing within that there's like a mix up of a timeline where something is very stuck, because the ones that are not at work, it's kind of like they're on a different timeline where they've not started work for the day, but it looks like they're just protesting, not turning up. And there's people trying to get onto their flight. There's some kind of weird timeline shift. Like I said, in the next global psychic predictions, these are probably going to be different to this, so always check in on all the readings, so because I don't want to repeat for people that watch each reading. I think there's going to be a drop in housing for those that want to buy. Okay, housing, all right. Again, I've noted farmers' crops, and farmers really taking a hit. It's going to be sad. Up here I've wrote it. It's important for us not to act from fear, but a sacred space. And I do think when Kia, and I think this will be, I'm going to get into the cards, but I feel like Kia is going to, I see him this week, okay? So let's look at his energy. His energy this week while he's in the House of Calms and over this next month. I'm going to take the top one only. That's what I saw. Let's start with this. Here, what I wanted to say, I think he's going to have a very strong stance in terms of a response he has to conservative. So We're talking about the 5th of November. Very strong energy for these 2 weeks to narrow it down. But let's expand it just a little bit. But I'm getting very strong energy 2 weeks. So it could be today, the 5th, 6th, 7th, whatever it is. There's going to be like a Tory or someone in the House of Commons that says something and he responds. And his response is like short, sweet, straight to the point. And that one, he gets like, he gets the basketball in the loop. Okay, so that is going to be a good one for him, whatever response he says, which is good to hear. Finally, something good. His long-term plan in terms of international affairs is not going to be good. It's not going to work, especially with regards to those that come across for I feel like we're getting mixed up with migration and asylum seekers. And I feel like this is more or less asylum seekers. His long-term plan around this is not going to go down well. He needs to change his judgment call and his perception around this, because his long-term strategy is not a success. If he changes his perception, we see a positive outcome. So can he announce something, again, critical moment, that will have a very positive outcome and make the UK, I wanted to say US, feel like, look, it's our land, we can come together, we can trust. Whether this is, I'm not saying like whites stick with whites, blacks stick with blacks. I'm saying like, even if your neighbor is, let's say, Chinese, but they've lived their life in the UK, they've migrated, they're UK citizens, or they've always, you know, paid, worked, etc. Can we stick together? Like I said, difference between migration and asylum seekers, where, you know, the asylum seekers are not on the same NHS as someone who's been waiting for cancer treatment for over a year and it's too late, you know. I don't mean this in a bad way, but there's a lot of benefits where they're gaining more than the UK citizens. I think he's going to try and impose something on the rich, or say they're imposing something on the rich. It could be to do with tax. It could be to do with boarding schools, for example. I don't mean the elite, but the wealthy. And it's to kind of try and balance his actions on other matters. But it's not the elite high level. It's the wealthy, right? Or it's the elite, but not that we know their name. You know, I just feel like it could be the entrepreneurs. Do you know whose name I'm getting? I'm not gonna like it. Trinny Woodwell. So, for example, you know her through her beauty, Trinny Woodwell. In case that was not clear, she's an entrepreneur. She's very successful. So that kind of standard, and the wealthy. But it will be to try and balance out the actions he's done in terms of, you know, the poorer or the taking away from others. So we need to look out for that. I do feel like the US has affected the UK, especially around media and, you know, the international decisions, alliances, and also including how China is going to act, which is very interesting. I get NATO coming through, a high NATO position that might not be present anymore in his position, has had an influence. I'm not fully, I need to refresh my mind on NATO, that word, to see if I can, between the words, see the intricacies of who I could be seeing. I think we're going to see there is a cocktail of jabs, okay, that are going to try and come out. You know, they don't really know what is happening, or what, we don't know what's in them, but in the future, we're going to see, we already see it's BS, but it will stop because they'll find that we're not buying into the BS. Now, here I am going to pull more cards, but this poor economy due to the poor decisions, and especially around the international front, false promises. This is in a challenging position. If it's upright and there's the economy and holding on, there we go. Like, so the wrong false decisions and promises that we've been given around the economy, where we're given some truths but not full truths. And but here it says there is something changing, where people are really holding on to everything they have. There is something that is going to be changing, and a balance will come in. Okay, we need to believe that a balance will come in. Let's just pull some more cards. Yes, so can you see what I said? There will be a balance, something that changes and comes in, where we've gone from the 5 in terms of money and the economy to more of a 10. And it really has to do with the communication that needs to come through around that, the decision making to overturn this. Now, I do get in these cards that I don't know if it's coming up or not. There could be something around mental health. So could they be announcing soon something around a new mental health bill? You know, is that possible? Let's look at this card. They are working on it if it's not announced. They are working on a new bill or something like that. Do you know what? I want to read, is he going to learn anything, or is he taking, I don't think he's a dumb guy, but I do think in his early childhood, there's something I can't put my finger on, but I do believe he was bullied in his childhood. And he was a bit strange. Like, I don't think he's strange for adults, but you know when kids feel like this person is a bit of a strange one? He could have been like a bit of a loner or something. I don't know, or very isolated, pushed out. And there's something there around that. We are definitely seeing, especially what we've seen in the US, the manipulation around media. But when we see it, it's not one-sided. We're seeing multiple sides. But at the moment, what we're seeing is where people are not happy, the media are emphasizing that. So let's say you switch your thoughts, and most people switch their thoughts. The media are going to cater to you being right in your thoughts. And it might not be the sense, but it's building you up to believe in what your strong beliefs, your anger, your frustration is, even if behind it there's some improvement coming up, as opposed to saying people are frustrated right now, but in November, for example, I'll just take the mental health bill. I don't know when that will be announced. It's coming. I do feel there's something around mental health. Or some groups that fall under that, something to do with that. All right. It could also to do with one of the bills of the NHS in terms of coordination with patients. I think that's something else coming through. I don't know what that's about. But instead of the media like saying, everyone's frustrated right now because of this, but we know the Gov have announced that in November they're going to be looking at this. So let's hope for the best. It's kind of like everyone's frustrated like this. How can they do it? It's out of order. It's causing more frustration. We need to be careful with that. But if the next day everyone suddenly turns to be for something, they will change that as well. It's actually gonna not give you clarity, and you're gonna feel like those people that are not necessarily awakened and just kind of like really stuck and rigid in your thoughts, don't want to hear the other side regardless, right? Maybe the person's been wrong 9 times, but maybe that 10th time on something they have a point. But some people are like, nah, I'm done with this, it's over, closed off. And they will play on that. So we need to be careful. So we've got some UK psychic predictions here. Let's see, so I've given some cards layout on terms of Starmer this week. Let's look at what he takes away from the US election result. I mentioned in that reading that it's very much the campaigning is like, let's go on a road show of like pop star doing tour, kind of way. But each country has their own. I've got a lot of US subscribers, and I really, really appreciate them because some of them have been big supporters on the channel. Here, it's kind of like, I don't know if this is emphasizing who I have my bets on winning. There's definitely a cutthroat energy here in terms of what can we learn in terms of ego versus revisiting the past, revisiting our roots, revisiting where we come from, revisiting from our own land and family and home, and what we can do with that. Having the patience of actually working on things. I'm getting the word methodological and analytical and practical. So maybe, this was the energy I was getting prior, but really having the patience to go forward with something you believe in, regardless of the adversity and what you have in your hands versus other things, okay? Because there are hidden elements. I also feel that he can see that people are really, at the end of the day, going to vote for who they feel. He's going to come out with saying, my next election, if he stays in, is going to be based on how his government feel they are doing, the work they've put in, the passion they've put in. We've got the Magician here. How do they feel? But I mean, is there an emotional side to stats? To me, it's kind of like, it's showing that right now, what I see we're going to learn is that it comes down to, and I think this is also in the UK, and I think he needs, this is where I've said in the past, he needs to really focus where that major decision is to overturn people supporting him is, can people pay their bills and balance their lifestyle or living or not? And that is going to be the key for winning the next election, not how only do my government feel they perform and stats. I think here it shows that, pull a card. Yeah, Kia can see, okay, it's interesting, a woman is here, sees that financing is the winning toss-up between, especially I feel switching people that don't vote. It's interesting, this is coming up in his energy, and I think it's because of the US elections. So it's a switch from one party to the other that's going to be really, really important. And from now, it seems like he's already slowly working on that. Is it easier to pay our bills today, or is it harder? And I think in the US, that leans more to DT, duck, right? Whether that would be correct or not, but that's what I'm seeing. So is he gonna... Yeah, can you see here it's really emphasizing the start of something that feels very much a burden or concern. It's heavy in terms of health and finances, especially finances, and the struggle. And it can be overturned if it's looked at in a much more showing passion kind of way, as opposed to a very junior kind of, it's not such a big idea, a big problem. Taking a more forward approach on that and expressing that. I wonder if he might come out and express something that says the party who loses has not focused on and they should have focused on, but he might do it in a discreet message. The key here is you can't, there's not much feeling, so you can't tell people how they feel, right? You can't tell people you need to feel this way. And I think he's going to get that if he's not already reflecting on it. And maybe this is where I get he's reflecting on his values versus his ego in the winds. But it's interesting, even like knowing what needs to toss up and happen for winning people over, but also for the next election, he's going to bear that in mind. Should we get some spirit messages for us during this next? Let's say, I'll do another check-in, but let's say over this next month, let's say until the end of December, past Christmas. Now, I did want to say, when I said about the storms, again, I think they're going to use that as a little bit of power outage, but it's not going to be across the country. It's going to be like little areas where not many people will talk about it, and you won't twig on that. You know, in Manchester, in one area, they had a bit of a, there was they said it was from a storm outage, but then in North Links, in a small city over there, they had something like a very discreet way of also trying to balance out some of whatever they call that black hole they inherited, but also just kind of blackout energy. But it's not something to worry about, but there is that energy. Okay, let's get some guidance for us right now. It's going to be difficult to keep moving forward peacefully. Sometimes we're going to feel that, you know, we need to accept what is happening. Sometimes we're going to feel like, I can't take this no more. Look, there's something evil going on in the background. He's evil. What are we not being told? I'm also getting here around international affairs. Who's lurking in the background around international affairs? Okay. Then we're kind of like, you know, Christmas coming out, etc. Let's just focus on our family, our home, and that brings us some joy because we're distracted for a bit of time. Well, then when we look again at the TV, or we look at, you know, developments in terms of, is there been a change in the money element, the rates of the bills? Is there anything new come up? It seems like it's a bit disappointing. Okay. And that means we go back to feeling very frustrated until we decide, I want to focus on my family, my home, because this is useless focusing on them. He's just evil. And it's not going to get any better right now. We need to defend ourselves. Yeah, I also see him defending himself. I see him in the lesser power trying to defend himself, not us. And I said that in the US elections video. Right now, people think that they're frightened of the Gov and the frameworks. it's not us that should be frightened, it's them. Trust me, they are. And I said this a year ago. I said this year they're going to be an ongoing 223, testing little things to see how we react. That's why we need to come together, because it makes us stronger collectively. I actually see him more in a defensive position. And interesting, it's not only against the people. I feel like one of these is a snitch in his own camp, but they don't really know. And I'm getting the energy of Rishi again. Okay, so our focus is on, and I'm not saying he's in the background, but he knows something. He knows there's more to something that's happening. He really does. I was going to pull cards on his energy, but some of you might have felt this has gone on too long. Should we see his energy? His energy in this next 2 weeks as well. Rishi Sunak, while he's at the House of Commons. How is he feeling? How is he feeling? That's an instruction card. I'm just going to put it aside. Can you see? He's kind of like, I'm not going to get too involved in this unless it's a bit more peace talks, and then I'll speak up. Otherwise, I'm just quiet. I'm kind of in defensive mode. I am leaving this. He might speak up on asylum, migration, but I don't see any movement from him. There is something he will eventually say, because he's going to feel overburdened by something. And it might be like he's side-eyed from the Tories, like, you're not saying anything, and we've been waiting for you to say something. I definitely feel he knows who these are. It's very interesting cards. Okay, can we just pull, I want to pull one of these for us from this deck. If you like this, please do like, subscribe if you want to not miss anything. You can share and support the channel. What's our guidance right now? As I say, what's our guidance? Spirit shows me the King of Swords. Stand in honor, stand in truth, stand in our authentic selves, but stand in integrity and honor and truth, regardless of what your truth is. Crossing the rainbow bridge, resurrection comes full circle. Okay, it's a very interesting card. So here we've got the Dove of Peace. Okay, number 2, what did I say? We need to stand together. It needs to be that, you know, love knows no bounds, and basically your energy is amplified through positive action and knowing your heart is full, not from the hate, but also the connection between the intelligent mind and your higher self, your soul. What is it saying? Does this sit well with me or not? But identify the source of supreme thinking within you. Your heart, your soul, okay? There's a healing. Now, in the last channeling, I did get the healing card for a few of the countries, to be honest. But you can use, like, going for a massage, meditation, exercises, your family, being around your family, maybe some herbal medicines that are going to enhance kind of you feeling a bit more within yourself while there's chaos going on and not being affected by it. Acknowledge the process of a plan that needs to unfold and move forward here. And you're going to find that you're going to put any anger, anything affecting your energy, and rest old issues and experiences aside, so that you don't feel that 10 of Wands and it exhausts you. There might be a sense here that all this chaos and perceived problems are mixed with the real problems and the feeling of overwhelm, and it's like there is no light at the end of the tunnel for what is happening in the current circumstances. But look into your hidden blessings in what you have around you individually. Let go of, like, the fear, the anxiety, and the need to control, for example, Kia coming out, or what happens, or what is going on. try to apply maybe a different kind of mindset, to take small steps to help you unburden what we're feeling right now and to lighten how we are feeling. Do you know what I think is a good crystal with this is celestial quartz, if you've got it, but if not, heart, pink quartz, rose quartz. The quartz line of crystals is good. So I'm going to leave this here, everyone. I hope you enjoyed this. If you did, please do like, subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Take care. Stay blessed. Bye for now.